All right. Hello. There you go. You're trained. How's it going? Welcome, everybody, to CDR sessions here at Lovin, Bristol. Give Lovin a shout, a great host. Thank you very much indeed for what you're doing. My name is Tony Wachiku. I'm a producer. I also run CDR with a fantastic team of committed producers and artists. If you're new to CDR, we are an organisation based in London, but we have events in Bristol and Manchester and places up and down the country. And our main focus is to give producers and artists an opportunity to meet like-minded people and to have a safe environment to develop your music production practice, whether it's listening to your music during Open CDR, which was all the music that you heard so far. Big up all the artists who submitted tracks earlier on. Nice one, thank you. That's a very, very important part of our events, just giving a great safe space to hear great music that you're working on the great SAS system. So we're going to be doing more with that music later on in the year. We're also here because we have the opportunity to have a conversation with people that are very much connected to us. If it's not part of their music trajectory, it's definitely because they've been part of the CDR community. And the gentleman to my left here is no exception to that. Very much so part of the community. Give out for Jim Coles, aka Unit.
I guess I'm alumni.
Yes, and continue. Yeah, thank you very much for making the time to be with us today. Before we kick things off, I want to just set a tone for today, really. Can you, tell us about what we're about to hear? Just tell us what we're about to hear.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so this is something I used to play, I played a couple times at CDR back in about 2009. So I used to go to CDR at Plastic People, where Tony was doing his thing there, and it was actually really important for me at the time. And it helped me to not be so scared to have my music played on big speakers to other people. So as I feel like a bit of an ambassador, but yeah, this is really cool what these guys have put together. And how long have you been doing that by that time?
Let's have a listen first. I'll let you later. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah. This is Too Tall. Yeah.
It's an old one. Yeah, because I felt it was important to. One thing I've really enjoyed about the growth of CDR, not just as an event and a community, but also having the privilege to kind of see how producers and artists develop. And as you pointed out, this track is from 2009, right? And I distinctly remember you coming over and giving me the CD of the track. I can really remember that. And what's really good to hear, so I dug it out from back then because I've got like an archive of tracks from then. And it was just, I was brought back to that time. But also, it brought a big smile on my face hearing this because I can still hear the kind of signature, Unit detail, in that production, even though it was like a while ago. So for those of us who weren't there, in 2009, and indeed an earlier part of your career, first of all, tell us, what got you into making the decision that you wanted to, give the music thing a go. and then kind of describe to us what the environment was like, in those kind of 2000s times. If you can remember.
So I started making music in 1994 when I was 14. So that was a while before that. And probably spent most of my 20s, like most people do, just, having experiences, but not really, I wasn't very focused. I probably had some stuff to work out. And I got to about 30 and I was like, actually, I kind of need to do this now or never, if you see what I mean. And that phase was right there. I started the Unit project in about 2010. Mm-hmm. That year, I think, actually, maybe 09. Age was probably the catalyst. Just being like, you know what, I'm basically just mucking around and I've got to have a go at this properly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I think the main thing was, CDR was actually really helped me for that reason. Because I always put people on a pedestal and was always like, I'll never be that, And actually, it's not about that, right? You just make art and share it, and if it works, it works. So, but yeah, it was scary, but yeah. I feel the same scared right now, actually. Yeah.
But also, I think, I think
it's good.
It's good.
Vulnerability and kind of like, stepping out and trying to, putting yourself out a bit more,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think for those of us who would prefer to be behind either a mixing desk or a laptop or an instrument, I think, again, one of the reasons why CDR exists is to create a safe space for people to...
Socialising the neurodivergent cave dwellers.
There you go. There you go. Yes. Amen to that. What was... Describe the scene for those of us who weren't there back then, around CDR circa 2009-10 for you.
Yeah. Plastic People. I mean, you've probably heard, if you weren't there, that it's got a legendary name, Plastic People, for a reason. It was really important. It can't be understated, really. It was something akin to Cozy's, but with the best sound system I probably ever heard until recently, maybe in Open Ground. And was run by good people who cared about music, were music collectors, and it was quite casual. That's what doesn't get said. You could go on a Wednesday and you might see the Bug there with like 10 MCs for like a $5, and then the next night would be like experimental night. Mike Paradinas is just there in a laptop with like Box Cutter and other people, and just anything kind of went to some degree. As long as you had something serious you're about, doing something properly, they would sort of back it, really. That's where like Tasha started Neighbourhood, if you know Tasha, and many other things. I mean, Floating Point's pretty much launched himself out of there. C.R. Parish was there monthly, right?
And Francois as well, Francois Cavalcante.
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah. It's so much just you forget. So the scene was like, it reminded me really of, I don't know, like Strange Brew in a way, or like somewhere where there's a real community, almost like Zogs, but perhaps a bit bigger, but like it still was a tiny basement, right? I mean, the cap was what, 80 or 100? Yeah. But, a lot of stuff came out of there, including, what you do, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was magic.
And for you, musically, at the time, what was exciting you?
All of it. I mean, the 2010 era, and really the zeros, I mean, the democratization of technology, suddenly everybody can do what they want to do, right? And so we went from, even though gatekeeping is always, it's a constant battle, but people think, if you think gatekeeping is bad now, trust me. I think everybody started to just do their own thing, and then you had MySpace coming up and everything sort of connected, so just things really started to clash in good ways, and it was a really magic time, I think. I don't think we've had that since, if I'm honest, but maybe I'm missing something, but yeah, there was a lot of fresh, I would say, a lot of new. There's always new, but it was almost like every week there was something really, really new. And you'd hear it at Plastic People. to be honest.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, regardless whether it was CDR or it was just forward or other nice balances.
Yeah, forward. I didn't mention forward. Jesus, yeah, I used to go there a lot as well.
Yeah. So from 2 Tool to Om Unit, and from Om Unit making some releases. So yeah, when did you decide to start releasing music and having the confidence to get stuff out there?
Well, I started. My first records were about 2002. As 2 Tool, and I'd done a bunch of albums. I mean, if anyone's heard any of that stuff, then well done, because it's buried deep in the people's discogs. But there's a few CD albums. So, do you mean like the Om Unit stuff? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, right. So after having done X, Y, and Z, and learned a lot of mistakes.
Why the switch from 2 Tools to Om Unit?
I got tired of the name. Just it's not a very good name. Basically. And I just wanted a new start, really. Yeah. Saturn's Return, I would say. In the late 20s, you get that, what they call the Saturn's Return. You have a lot of people have a big shift in their lives. And that was that for me. Yeah.
Cool. And for there, you kind of started on this journey, which you're still on to this day.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was it like for you at the beginning, just releasing those records and, navigating industry as an independent producer artist?
Great. Scary, but it's weird. I do a bit of teaching, and one of the things I always tell people is just send music. It's almost more prevalent today, where you can just use whatever distro kid and just get it on Spotify, and you think that's a release, and it is a release. But I think sending files to DJs is still really important. It's something I really did a lot back then. Mm-hmm. I was just shamelessly like, here, just here's a tune, have a tune. And Plastician picked up on the first stuff, and Alexander Nutt as well, and they were playing stuff on the radio, and so it felt, there's a validation to that, right? Like, we create things for validation, so there's like, oh shit, there's like a feedback loop starts, and then I think off the back of that, it gave me courage and sort of confidence to think, no, actually, these weird ideas that I have, there's might be something there. And then I've been DJing since 95-ish as well, or 98 in front of people, I guess. So I kind of think on a DJ tip as well. So I've always been interested in cross-pollinating things. I used to like to mix records that were from different genres together, and that's, yeah. And I thought maybe it was a bit weird, some of it, but actually people, they kind of vibe with it. Hence the Footwork Jungle crossover stuff I did, and yeah, other things. So I don't know, it's just courage. I got courage, You get a bit of validation, encouraging, you just go with it, yeah.
And with that said, was there a particular moment, at the early part of your career where you thought, what, I'm really onto something here, and I've got the courage and stamina to move things forward? Yeah. Yeah,
I felt from DJing and starting to play my own stuff, I basically felt that there was something, I don't know how to put it, I felt like I had sort of something like my own voice, I guess, and yeah, just did it, kept doing it, tried to keep doing it. Yeah.
And apart from obviously some records on Civil, obviously, and then Cosmic Bridge, that was obviously a real kind of step forward for you in terms of your label that you started obviously around 2011, right?
Yeah.
And that was a conscious decision to create your own label rather than keep on going to other people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big into that as well, self-releasing. Although that's kind of normalised now, right? Everyone kind of self-releases to some extent, I feel like. But yeah, back then having a label was very important, I think. Now I'm actually kind of anti-label, but yeah.
Oh, we can talk about that in a bit later, yeah.
Yeah.
So how's it been kind of, growing the label, obviously getting people like Chroma Star to work with, other artists as well? How's it been to kind of have this label that you've essentially crafted your identity upon, but also the fact that you have got this label, but then also managing the label because it's your thing, right? How's that been navigating those two things?
Well, it's been a complete story arc because that label's no longer, that's done. Cosmic Bridge it was a finished thing, but yeah, it's been, I learned a lot about like how to go about A&Ring things and kind of like, I don't know, like trying to support other people the right way, maybe not always right. Yeah. What was the question again? Sorry.
just, I know that arc is done, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is, for a lot of us, we see your output as a DJ and as obviously someone who releases records, but people really talk about the fact that there's an administrative side to running a label.
Right.
That's just as important as actually getting the music out there.
Yeah, the old business hat. Yeah. Okay. Help. Yeah, you need help. So I had initially like a P&D deal, with like a distro. So I've got P&D, so which means you basically just provide the art and the music and stuff, and they take care of it with a distributor that folded, and that happens, and you don't get paid, right?
It's quite a lot in that time period as well.
So you learn things the hard way, and you understand how to do things and who to work with, etc. But I don't know. I try and not do as much of the business stuff as possible and have other people help. So I started out with a manager in about 2010. It was Civil Music, this guy called Mark Shelley, who still looks after my stuff today, 15 years later nearly. And we have an agreement now where essentially they manufacture everything. They do Bandcamp, they do fulfillment, they do PR as well. And they also now do distribution. So I have this like a one-stop shop. Yep. So now I self-release my stuff on no label. You'll notice there's no logos, nothing.
It says it on Discogs very loud and clear.
Just on unit self-released. Yeah. And that works for me, I realised I wasn't very good at supporting other people. Okay. Actually, I think with Cosmic Bridge, being as kind of introverted as I am, I realised that trying to throw events is kind of what you need to do as a label. If you're on a label, it's a good idea to do events. And people was all on my case like, why aren't you doing Cosmic Bridge night? And I'm like, because I don't like doing it. It does my head in. I should do it though, So, but at the same time, I think, what we put out did help to nurture and support people's, trajectory still. But actually at the end of it all, I was like, I think there are other people that are much better at this. Mm-hmm. And I want to focus on me. So,
Back to route one,
Yeah. So,
and we can talk about the fact that it doesn't, the output doesn't have an identity at the moment, but we'll get to that in a minute. I guess let's talk about what we've got here. This is a track called Amber, right?
Amber,
yeah.
Okay, this is a track I put out last year. It's probably about a year ago now, on a record called Atlantis. It's kind of a dubby, breaky, techno-y tune, I guess you call it. What do you want to know? What it's made of? Or what's going on?
So before we hear it, what was the inspiration behind what was the first thing that got you to start thinking about this track?
Because obviously, initially started out as an acid dub track. I have this project called Acid Dub Studies, which is kind of a whole different thing again. I've got the videos, and
we're going to get to
we'll talk to that. Yeah. So this started out as a kind of acid dub track. I realised it was called 135 Acid Dub or something, and it just kind of developed into something a little bit more clubby, just by, just follow the thing, and it happens.
Literally, just start and continue.
Yeah,
just no set agenda per se, apart from
that's
the fact
how I work.
that,
Just follow the thing, and kind of let the tune do what it needs to do. So do you want to sort of walk through it?
Yeah, no, let's hear it first. Would you like to hear it first? Yeah? Cool.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, that's the
cool.
Yes. Yeah.
It's this tune. Is that loud enough? Tony wants the second drop.
Yes. Nice.
It kind of isn't a second drop.
Second drop's important, particularly after the way you cut up Apache there, so, you know. Cool, nice one, man. So, yeah, we've got the fact that it was started off as this, obviously, acid dub incarceration at the beginning, but how did it mutate? And then talk us through the project.
I struggle to remember a little bit, but these kind of dubby chords, I mean, this is your bog standard, like, dub techno stuff, right? So...
And the effects on inside, or are they on the bus?
So yeah, move it around for you. So, good pale ale. Yeah, so this is Serum. Obviously, I use Serum a lot for stuff, and it's kind of the industry standard. Yeah, it's just doing that. You've got some movement in the filter, tight envelope, sawtooth. That's how you make a dub techno chord. Yep. And there's also, distortion, phaser, delay, compression, some reverb. And more importantly, this thing's really cool, called the Slink filter. If you use Ableton Live, just grab it. I think it's free or like really cheap. But yeah, that just does that. Super good. So for that type of like moving textures.
Yeah.
And just echo, more EQ stuff.
Yeah.
This is the Clevgran reamp. It's a great kind of multi-band distortion thing. This thing's awesome as well. This is the Black Box HG2, which is one of the best Valve, emulating Valve saturation you can get, I reckon, in software. And yeah.
Good old fab filter there.
And then I've got stuff that went to the desk. So I use a lot of outboard effects now. So this is like coming back from, I use the Bug Brand PT delay, which is made just up there, around the corner in Bristol. It's based on a chip, the PT2399, I think it's called, or 3299, which is a really lo-fi sounding delay. It's got a built-in high-pass, low-pass filter, and it overdrives really nicely. So, yeah, there's like extra little textures. If I can... Where are you? What am I doing wrong here?
Thank you there.
This one.
It's because you've got them
In a group.
Yeah, really?
There you go. Cool.
Okay, well, I'll just mute the others, I guess.
That's all right.
See?
It's because dub chords desk. Yeah, your group of dub chords desk isn't.
Oh, I did a subgroup. Thank you. Yeah.
CDR
it's
sessions
been a while.
They are CDR sessions are collaborative, so we say yes.
Yeah.
There'll be someone in the room that knows.
Thank you. Okay. So what I tend to do is I have maybe I can actually just pull a photo up, huh? Yeah, I can just have a little. So like, this is what my hardware looks like. Oh, so that's my room. So this desk here is a Midas.
It's a Venice, right? Is it?
Yeah, it's old Venice desk. So it's got like 6 auxes, and this little red guy next to it is the Bug Brand. So I basically run stuff in a chain. So the Bug Brand's there doing the delays. The return from the Bug Brand, I can then add stuff to that. So I've got like a Mutron biphase clone over there, and like spring reverb. I've got a Grampian 636 clone, and Eventide H90 that I use for the kind of sparkly posh reverb.
So it's essentially the roots of kind of dub.
Yeah,
kind of
that's
setup, right?
That's the dub.
Dub 101
yeah.
vibes.
Yeah. So I've just incorporated that into a lot of what I do, whether it's the dub stuff or not. So yeah, that's coming back from the desk. then there's another one here which is a bit more distant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so that's your kind of dub chords. I mean, how detailed should we go? We've got time limits, I guess.
We've got time, man, haven't
Okay.
we, people?
All right. Kick drum. It's a kick drum. That's the EQ. I guess without it, it sounds a bit boxy.
Yeah.
So, take out some of that stuff. A bit more of the click. And then black box again. I can't honestly say enough good things about this. It's about $5,000 hardware. And you can get the plugin from Plugin Alliance when it's on sale for like 30 quid. Really, really, really good. Okay, cool. And then some claves. Yeah, claves. This break is from the Jungle sample pack, which if you own, you should delete the vocals, but the breaks are really good. Which is Blue Martin basically sampled loads of their records, and so they're actually bits of other jungle tunes. But I actually don't know where this break's from.
I'm not sure either. And I guess that's just the break is essentially the mid part of the whole track, because obviously you've got it's quite layered. What's really great about this record is really layered, and again, when it comes to a lot of production, each section having its own role is an important component.
Yeah, I'd probably put too much in my music sometimes. I think in that sense, this kind of helps to glue it all together though, like for sure. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Cool. So killing some of that honking.
Yeah.
Bit more tops. It was also really wide, so bass mono, less width.
Yeah. And the processing, are you doing the processing as the track develops, or do you work on a particular, like for example with this break, would you solo it for a while, get it right, and then hear it the track, or are you kind of tweaking as you're developing?
I do the fixes quickly, fix it. If I feel like something needs fixing, I'll do the fixing, and then as the tune develops, I'll keep adding stuff But I generally mix as I go, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. This is really good.
Cool.
SPL transient, I guess I'm tightening up a bit.
Yeah.
Without it, it's kind of subtle, but... Take some of that reverb off it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good old soothe.
Yeah.
D-resonator. I've been waiting 20 years for that. Someone finally did it. This guy's great as well, just for stereo control, like less stereo again. This is also really good.
Good old Baxendale.
Band axle curves. Should we talk about band axle curves? I want to talk about band axle curves quickly. It's basically the most musical type of shelf EQ you can get. And they kind of use it in hi-fi, right? Where you've just got like bass mid tops. In a good hi-fi system, it's a very, very slow, gentle curve for like low and high frequency boosting. So that's what that does. So you can add tops without it being too resonant. Yeah.
And I guess it's less surgical, right, than say something like a parametric,
Yeah.
So, yeah. Cool.
Broad stroke. But so 2 of those, because you need loads of tops apparently. I don't recommend doing that generally. And then just more like weird surgical stuff that's probably pointless. And you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. And then another soothe.
Yeah.
So, but that's doing a very specific job. That one's doing. Yeah.
Right at the top.
So I add tops and then I take them away. That's my process.
Exactly.
And then Apache, I had to freeze this because it would not load.
Well, I was gonna ask, just for this, you mean, or just in general?
For this, because I had literally, for some reason, just live is a bit weird like that when you just move stuff to different machines. But all it was just a bit of echo and some saturation and EQ. And
quite a low end you've added to Apache there.
yeah, I made it kind of boomy.
Yes,
yeah,
thought that.
yeah. Mainly because it's a breakdown, so you can get away with a lot.
Yeah. And the programming you did yourself, or did you use some kind of, randomizer or something?
I get scissors.
Yeah, okay,
I cut
cool.
breaks with scissors generally.
Nice.
Yeah.
So not the simpler chop route.
Not really.
Literally, no.
Yeah, I find it fiddly with MIDI. I don't know. I'm just used to being really fast with scissors and yeah. Crash. This is yeah. So this is I do a lot of my own noise effects and stuff, rises and whatnot with I've got an OB6. I've labelled it as OBX. I think that's wishful thinking. It's the OB6 by Dave Smith. It's basically a really great analog poly, but it's got great arpeggiating and stuff you can do with like noise and random settings. So it's like manual, just recording loads of those. So like different parts of the tune, there's like.
And you're playing the track down and just vibing over it. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So I'll just record loads of that while the tune's playing and then cut them. And a lot of the time it goes through the desk with all those effects on. So I'm just one take and chop it.
And would you clock the arpege to the Ableton, or is it just literally just the machine?
No, it's a bit red.
Okay.
Try and get it right.
Cool.
Then this is the SEM, which a certain someone put me onto. Doing this thing. Yeah, the Arturia gear. Yeah. All the Arturia stuff is really good. Basically everything they make, I think, is amazing.
The V collection is the...
Crazy. There's 20 vintage synths that sound pretty good. Yeah, I use them quite a lot. They also do the filter bit of this on its own as well. Anyway, that's that, just arping away. Nexus also wouldn't load for some weird reason, so I had to bounce it. But yeah, REFX Nexus is a really, really, really good synth. I mean, it depends what you make. If you make like hard trance, it's amazing. But it does have really these kind of thick, solid sounds. Like that's simple, but there's actually quite a lot of complexity in that to get that certain tone. So, yeah, really good. The Jupiter. This is all like Arturia, and then to the desk. So. That looks like this. It's a clone of the Roland Jupiter, and there's some delay. There's also that, which is kind of phasing against it weirdly, but that's the desk, I think. Yeah, with the filter set weird. Hi-hat.
But
it's a hi-hat.
But a lot going on there, right? In terms of your...
Kinda. It's got the Saturn on it. I try and make hi-hats interesting. I realised recently there's kind of only two hi-hats, right? There's basically an 808.
It's all Roland,
and then there's just the Roland. It's all Roland, basically.
Yeah.
To some extent, so I'm trying to find ways to make other things that don't sound like a Roland hi-hat. This is early days, so I was probably just saturating it and thinking that was amazing. But it's got a certain slightly different, but yeah. Anyway, but speaking of Roland,
yes,
big 808, which I don't even think. Oh no, I did put it on one voice. Side chain with a kick. Pulling out the second harmonic a bit, and a bit of tops, and then good old black box again. But I did two, actually. I did that, and I also made a serum one, because I like to make my own 808s. It's got a very different sort of tone though.
It's quite clean in a sense,
yeah.
right? Yeah. Mm.
This is probably a bit more of a kind of like modern drill
Yeah.
type of thing. That's basically just with FM. So if you want to make your own 808s, all you need is 2 sine waves and then just FM with 1 an octave or 2 octaves up, and use this to FM to frequency modulate this guy.
Yeah.
So without it, it's like it's already got sub. Oh, I've actually got a sub as well. Let's turn that off. It's actually better without the sub. Sweet. That's probably why I didn't use it.
No, because it's so low, so it's like 10 hertz or something.
Well, no,
maybe,
it's slightly phasing. It's phasing against itself. But yeah, with FM, you know, you add harmonics, but you don't need saturation, so you get the best of both worlds. Yeah. Master tune with an envelope for the initial, right? It's pitch envelopes. Yeah. That's that. Yeah. Selena, that's the ARP Selena. So that's another Arturia again.
It's great how there's lots of depth to this track. There's definitely elements that are very front and center, obviously like the 808 and obviously the rhythm parts, but a lot of the string parts and the textural parts there's a lot of space, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to feel like the music exists in a space. I think that's generally how I tend to approach stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Was there any part of this the development of the track that you found challenging?
Trying to make it sound like it would work in a club, actually, when it's that busy.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, actually, I do play this out and it does work. Thank God, because it took a while to get it to... Like, initially the break was really loud. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I want it to sit more in the... Just in that almost like dub techno pocket. So yeah, it took a few iterations to get it to work, I think. But yeah, I play this out. This is my take on a club type thing, I guess.
No, absolutely. I'm going to see if these guys have got any questions. You've got any questions you'd like to ask? Yeah, if you just say it out and then...
Where did you learn all this? So I'm looking at all the layering of your drum synths, etc., and that rap, and you probably figured that out. But where did you get this initial learning from? Is it just from experimentation or from friends or a mix?
Which part?
So the question is, so where do you learn? How do you acquire the knowledge to kind of think about your range, your technique in terms of layering and these production techniques?
Okay.
And,
a lot of it's probably just experience, but I watch a lot of tutorials. I'm a fiend. I try and keep... Okay, so I should say I teach part-time, by the way, right? So in order to teach, I've had to really learn like the nuts and bolts of synthesis and stuff like that. That's been really big for me.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, please.
Is that one-on-one instruction with mates? Because I found that the most valuable personally was like YouTube videos of like an hour long how to make a resynth. It's great, but you miss one film, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're like adaptive to all kinds of learning, including like YouTube tutorials, etc. So like adaptive to that is like a skill you can have, I suppose.
I guess.
I would also add, actually, that a very important part of your production development has been a love for dub music, sound system music, and I think a lot of that, whether it's about use of delay and reverb, specifically spring reverb, specifically delay, learning about that has been instrumental,
I think,
and how you've navigated that.
I think honestly, for me, it's the curiosity. So, like for example, I first went to a proper dub event, University of Dub in Wembley, which would have been 06, 07, and saw like King Earthquake and people like that, and I'm trying to remember who was there that day, first time. But yeah, going to like proper teachings in dub, stuff like that, where you hear dub music in in the right environment, and became really curious about what is.
How did they do this kind of thing?
Yeah, like go and learn, and yeah.
From like what you've been playing, like you've been doing plugins with like super old school like dub tech. As a most part, which is great, is like you've really adapted to that. But it's interesting that experience has like influenced even this like acidy, gravy track.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like having done music for 30 years now. I think over the 30 years, I've just really jumped into different stuff and sort of then took with me what worked for me on that journey, I guess. So yeah, I've just been curious. Like I was saying earlier, like when I was a kid, I was about 15, I had a list of all the breaks on my wall. I was just like a student and still am, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for your question. Question at the front here.
When you're going and you're taking inspiration from all these other genres, taking your own spin on it, like you've done with footwork and jungle, like doing with dub now.
Yeah.
What your go-to practices, techniques to kind of study and analyze, and then take, because in your stuff, especially with this, like there's obviously people who've taken dub influence stuff and they just put a dub back on it, whereas your stuff, especially recently, it's way more refined. Like you've got the basics and you're doing your own unit with it. So how do you practice and study?
Play.
Let me just say the question for the video. Sorry. So that was a that was a long question. But no, it's all right. No, it's all right. I've got to try and digest that. So
you're repeating so they get it on the video.
To praise it. So to praise the question, yeah. How do you unit? You know, given that you've got all these. Given that you've got all these foundational techniques, footwork, dub, jungle, how do you then, I guess, create identity from that, Because I think a lot of it, I'm going to answer it to a certain extent. I think a lot of it is about taking influence and running with it. People can obviously make a footwork track. You can obviously make a dub track. But what you've definitely done is that you've navigated these genres and created your own identity from them. And that's, again, gets back to curiosity that you're saying, right? And wanted to, I guess, would you say it's about finding your own voice through these influences?
I would push back slightly on the identity.
Okay.
Only to say that all I'm doing is referencing other things. If I'm honest, what I make is generally a cross-pollination of other things, but they're also not necessarily my culture. Mm-hmm. So in a sense, I feel like as something of a curator in some sense, which I know is cringy, but it's like I'm just drawing from stuff, but at the same time I know what I'm drawing from, I think would be the way to put it. Like, I've been to certain arenas, events, environments to try and, not even actually to try and even stand there and go, what can I take? Just having just been to certain things, raves, dub events. I was a teacher. I used to be a youth worker in my 20s in London. So when grime first came out, I was in youth centres in Hackney and in Deptford and places like that where, there's suddenly these like 15-year-olds yelling stuff over these crazy beats. What's this? I think I've just been exposed to a lot of stuff over time. But it's weird. I always feel a bit weird when I say my identity or whatever, because a lot of what we make is derivative of culturally what I don't come from. I'm from a little village in Cookham. Village in Berkshire called Cookham. So I suppose you could say I have an identity with it, but it's only really an amalgamation of other things. Yeah. So I don't know. I try and keep that off the table to some extent.
No, I guess what I'm trying to say with identity, I think there's music making that's about modelling, and the fact that you can make a footwork track or a dubstep track and it can be pretty much a clone of everything else. But then there's also about how you take influence from lots of different things and make it your own.
Yeah,
and that's what
I guess
I'm referring to, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of what the cultural elements of it. I think a lot of forward-thinking music is about making it your own and crafting identity and personal personality.
I guess
through it.
I don't feel like I've found my own sound or identity, actually. You probably would be like, oh, that's not unity.
We beg to differ, right?
Right, maybe, but I don't. Honestly, I don't. I'm still searching for something that feels more honest somehow. I don't know. Maybe that's just what it's all about, right? I don't know. Not to go too deep on it, but yeah. I don't know. There's like... Yeah, I think just learning how to do stuff properly. Just go learn stuff, like whichever way you can. Not everyone can, like you were saying before, that not everyone can just watch a YouTube tutorial and emulate it, right? It's not how everybody learns. I think I tend to watch a YouTube video, pause, and do it step by step, and then I will tend to retain it. But for me, actually, teaching has taught me a lot about this stuff, the tech. And even in the zeros when I was a youth worker, that taught me a lot as well. Yeah, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of info out there. This is why I kind of miss blogs and stuff, because you'd find people would really like these really heavy blogs of like, they do mad research. And there's still a lot out there, I guess, but we've lost that with social media, the sort of homogenization of it, where at one point in the zeros anyway, there was a lot of people that were very passionate about really niche things, and they'd write these reams of like stuff where they researched heavily.
Absolutely.
Read books, I guess, as well, to some extent. Yeah.
Definitely, thank you. Great question. Go for it.
You've 30 years of experience now, and if you do it all again, what would you do differently? And then what were the big penny drop moments that you had along the way?
So, penny drop moments in the 30 years that you've been in the game.
It's not been that deep in a way. To some extent, I guess. Creatively, I don't know. I don't know what I would do differently. I'd probably learn more technical stuff a bit earlier. I think probably have employed more curiosity at a younger age, I would say, would have been good. But yeah, I don't know. That's a really hard one to answer. I'm not sure I can give you a straight up answer to it, really. I think probably that, just being more curious earlier. Yeah, cool. I was quite ignorant in my 20s, if I'm honest. I thought I was like, yeah, I'm doing some shit, man. And actually I was just really stoned and kind of, you're stuck in the 16-bar loop, right? And for, yeah. It's a common story, I heard, yeah.
Person at the back, this guy, yeah, hand up.
I'm clueless when it comes to theory. I think it's a therapy. That's a different one, right? Yeah, I guess.
We'll get to that.
Well, yeah, we can if you want. I don't know, really. I don't think about it so much as I just sort of do it. So it's kind of hard to answer, but I guess I probably try and fill the spaces as they needed. I spend quite a lot of time on music, like in terms of this track I spent probably loads of time trying things. So I probably try things and then keep what works, would be the best way to put it. And then try and refine it down and then maybe add a little more and then sort of take it away. Yeah, I don't know. And it really differs from track to track, actually, if I'm honest. That's kind of why a lot of my stuff just sounds really different. Because I actually don't think about it that much.
But with this track as an example, what we saw earlier was that you've obviously got source material, so you might have, say, the strings, for example, and then you've consciously used an analog effect, and that plays a role, and that gives it a kind of space. And then maybe there might be another layer that's a bit more textural. So I guess would you say there's, for want of a better word, there's like a front-facing element, and then there's a kind of spatial element? In terms of
it's more simple than that. I think it's just what the track needs. But to be honest with you, I think it's what does the tune need? And I can kind of hear it before it's there sometimes. I'm like, I need to do that shape or that texture. I'm very textural, so in ways I think about what texture is it I need to put in there, would be it, That's probably as close as I can get to an answer for that, but yeah. That's any good? Cool.
And it's about not overthinking, is it, I guess?
Always. Yeah.
Cool. Question at the front here and then over there. Go for it.
Sort of going off the back of that line, you mentioned like putting too much stuff in your tracks, you say, and then like spending a lot of time on stuff. How do you know when something's not done but ready to put out into the world?
How do you know when a track is done? The question.
There isn't. Okay. I can only give you my answer because there isn't really an objective answer to that. But I believe. But I guess if you can listen to it somewhere else, like not looking at it, and sit there and listen to the whole thing and be like, all right, cool. That's generally like a just really like, you know, answer to that. But sometimes you second guess stuff, right? Or it's how long is a piece of string? I have a little inbuilt thing that I'm just like, ship it, just get it out. Okay, it's done, enough now. Almost when I'm sick of it, to some extent. But it needs to be, what I tend to do is if I get really fed up, I'll stop and not listen to it for a couple of weeks. And then come back, and if in 2 weeks' time, if it's still with fresh ears, I'm like, actually, that's kind of, it's done. Then it's good. Or just do a few more tweaks. But yeah, I think there's an art to just being very executive, like, if that's the word. Yeah, executive, right. So it just committed. That is an art form in itself, right?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah.
And I think it really helps that you're quite nuanced or very nuanced in your building of the track as you go. So, you know, paying attention to those details. So when you can make that executive decision, the track's pretty much mixed, right? You know.
Yeah, to some extent, I think, yeah. Yeah, I guess so, actually, yeah.
Cool. Question.
What's the relationship between your DJing and your production?
What is the relationship between your DJ?
Quite different worlds. Yeah. If you ever see me DJ, you probably think, what? Okay. Why is he playing like 150 BPM 4/4? Okay. There's a crossover, but I think they're different disciplines. I don't necessarily make club records very easily, but I enjoy DJing. So there's some crossover, but they are quite separate things, to some extent, I'd say.
My experience is that when I started producing music, I've been like, wow, this is actually very different from what I like to play out. And I was like, how's that going to end up? And I'm just wondering for you, when you started producing music, what was your experience compared to like what you've been playing out?
Yeah, true.
Surprised by what came out of them. How did you
Well, okay, so the thing is, when I started producing, when I was 14, it was 94, it was jungle, so I was making jungle, and I was DJing jungle in my bedroom, I guess. But when I actually went out and started playing in front of people, I was playing like hard house and garage and whatever you get away with at uni. I was playing at the university bar. So the DJing thing, I mean, DJing's like a public service, really. If you're on it, like, let's be honest, it's kind of a public service. I think it's okay to think of it as that. Whereas this is art, and DJing can be an art, but I think they're very separate disciplines in some way. But you can turn DJing into an art form, right? So, I don't know. I like a lot of different things too, and I like to make different things. But the things that I make, I can't necessarily get away with in a DJ set. I'd love to. I'd love to be able to stand here and play really out there stuff and be very self-indulgent, but I mean, 99% of the time, it's not going to go down. So I think I'm trying to keep it separate, actually, for that reason. Yeah. Huh? I didn't actually hear what you said, sorry. What, the dance floor? I wish it was. I mean, you know, most of the time, yes, but you have to understand, I guess, maybe it's the type of gigs I get, I don't know, but people are kind of, you know, attention spans aren't necessarily what they were, and kind of people have certain expectations on what a DJ even is, which has changed since lockdown, especially where there's a lot of new people who are in environments who think DJing is well, they're there for one thing, right? They're there for something. And we, you know, to some extent, if I'm there to do a job, I have to cater to that to some extent. So I think that's okay. I mean, Andrew Weatherall famously said it's a job, and you know, going to work. And I'm into that, if I'm honest. Unless I'm playing live, that's different. Yeah.
So, thank you for your questions, by the way. So, you know, you've had great output over the last, 20 years plus, right? And from a listener's point of view, it's felt quite consistent. in terms of your output, not just in terms of your own work, but obviously remixes. When has it been hard, like the most hardest to kind of make and keep it going?
It's always hard. To some extent, it should be. I think it's okay for it to be hard, but I think when you start giving into expectation or perceived expectations, that's probably where it's the hardest, I've found. I can only speak for myself, but yeah. I think there was a time where, because I was playing certain music out, actually, to touch on your question, I felt obliged to make a certain sound. And that made things dry out really quickly. And there's some tracks out there that really make me cringe, actually, because of it. So that's probably the hardest bit. Because then, for me personally, the minute I get locked onto one thing and it's like, this is what I do, the brakes get put on and it's just like, it all just starts to fall apart, actually. And that Acid Dub Studies came off the back of that, feeling very cornered into one sound. And it was a liberating thing to do that, yeah.
It's interesting because I think it almost feels like as soon as you make music because you're interested in sound and breaks and the culture, and you have this output, and then the output gets some kind of notoriety, and that almost like freaks you out a little bit. Would you agree?
In terms of my music gets notoriety?
Yeah.
Freaks me out? Yeah. No, I like it. I like that people like the music. It's nice you put it out. It's very validating. It doesn't freak me out so much.
But in terms of your sounds changing every few years, essentially.
Oh, what do you mean? Oh, yeah. Maybe I didn't hear your question right. Go on, say again.
No, just in terms of we all. I guess what I'm trying to say is that you have some ideas, and then those ideas are then released, and then it's almost like there's a chapter, comes to a close, and you try something else.
When you try a new thing and it can be scary? Yeah, okay. I don't worry about it too much. I think I just put it out and see what happens. They don't always work, and that's fine. Actually, again, it doesn't worry. I try not to overthink it too much. Yeah. Yeah, to the point where I probably could have more quality control at times, but fuck it.
No, but you're right. You're right. It's about, because I think it's, I guess for a lot of newer producers, there's one thing to be said about making records, but, this kind of pressure to have music and find make music that has an audience, right? And it's harder to actually have the courage to, again, this idea of identity, creating your own identity through what you're in, and just taking, and combining styles and just doing it rather than saying, oh, this track isn't footwork, it's not dubstep, therefore people won't like it. A lot of the time it's quite the opposite, right?
Yeah. I think it's like, my thing is actually doing music full time, right? And kind of like making a living is actually kind of overrated, if I'm honest. I actually work part-time deliberately. I didn't have to, but I do it on purpose because I don't want to have that pressure of being, I don't know, having to switch up what I do every 3 or 4 years because what's cool or like whatever is hot in whatever magazine or whatever. And I think that's a kind of nice way to live, actually. That's how I got around that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's got a job.
Yeah. So it's about having some kind of, I guess, financial base that gives you the opportunity just to focus on your craft, your identity, you could.
That's what helped me not to overthink that, I think. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Should we touch on the whole acid dub thing for a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. I did a very quick little video in my space here, just showing a little bit about that process of working on that stuff. You guys know about the acid dub studies stuff I did? Yeah.
Cool. For those who don't know, it'd be good to just know.
I mentioned it. So off the back of that frustration I mentioned earlier, feeling a little bit typecast, if you like, or sort of cornered, I was like, I really love the 303, and I've been collecting dub records for a long time and got really heavily into that more so. And I collect dub and reggae a fair bit, and 80s digital dancehall as well. and weird dubby ambient music, and was just kind of like, I really vibe with that stuff. That's what felt honest, you know. And I was like, what if I take the 303? And I was like, surely this has been done before. Did some research, found a few bits and bobs, and I was like, this is kind of nice, this is cool, but I have a different vision of what I want to do. Did the thing, made a bunch of sketches. Thanks to a friend of mine, actually, who I was around their house, and basically they had a 303 and a delay set up, and it clicked. And I was also, I've got to mention TM404, who I did a record with recently. His stuff was definitely inspirational, but I'm more into the roots side of it, I guess, the Jamaican influence and other countries too. But anyway, so it failed. Let's go again. So this is kind of
Pause it for a second.
Cool.
We need this shot here right now.
What's that?
We need this shot here right now. Detail.
I thought you were talking to someone over there. Like.
No. Yeah, good. Well, I'm just, but actually to say what things are. So, Midas desk, right?
Oh, you want to, that's right. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
just literally.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm easily confused. This is the Midas Venice. It's the Firewire version without the horrific side trim. If you've ever seen the side trim on them, I don't know. It looks like something out of Babylon 5. That's the Buck Brown PT delay. I can't recommend it enough, not just because it's made in Bristol, it is actually amazing. That's the Eventide H90. That's the Mutron biphase clone by, I forget the name, but it's good. Quadrantes Swarm, which I'm kind of messing with. That's not really involved in this. A few modular effects, which I use quite heavily on the acid dub stuff for extra layers and stuff like that. This is the Wasp filter. These two here are a clone of the Mackie input stage.
You serious? Get that 90s digital.
Just the middle-aged guys find that funny. Okay. It's basically, if you know about old jungle and stuff, a lot of the sound of old jungle is just the Mackie,
1604.
just redlined,
Yeah.
and that's that as modular. And there's a IntelliGel Spring Ray and the clouds, mutable clouds, which is a granular reverb delay, and then there's the Nord drum there. If you're wondering what's going on here, all this stuff. By the way, this is like a temporary setup in my house. So at the back here, I've got basically bin bags full of rock wool. It's not my laundry. Cool. So this is the main voice that I use for a lot of the acid dub stuff. It's a Zox box. Okay. And this one above it is a heavily modded Zox box by Finlay Shakespeare, who's a fantastic local synth legend. And yeah, so we're going to see me doing some just basic 303 stuff. It's like the 90s chai tent vibe. Right, so... yeah, 6 auxes. So one is the spring at the top. What's that there? Spring echo, space echo. Spring reverse spring echo. Delay, verb, phaser, and then Eurorack on 6 auxes. And then I've got, various synths coming into it. And that all goes into the interface. And then one of the channels, this one here, is a channel from the interface. So I can send stuff that's in the box out and into all this stuff. Yeah. So it's honestly, if you've ever done this stuff before, it's one into making dub stuff, it's addictive. It really is. You can sit there for hours, just you get lost in it. And if you've ever seen some of the modern, like Kibir Amlak, if you ever check out his live shows, crazy. He's doing amazing things in the box, and his stuff is proper spiritual, like Rasta music, and he's doing wild stuff that's amazing with this tour tip. I'll skip through a little bit because that's the little Vestax.
Nice, classic.
That's the Moritz van Oswald delay for rhythm and sound fans. There it is.
Classic space echo there as well.
Yeah, I bought that and reconditioned it recently. It works good actually. I'm trying to get that. This thing here is really good. This is a Grampian 636, which Behringer have just had a go at making. Funny enough. Doesn't sound very good, the Behringer one. No. Unfortunately, I actually rate a lot of the Behringer gear, but it doesn't really sound anything like this at all.
That's made in Britain. That guy has the clone is that one is made by someone in the UK.
This
right?
was Prince Fatty.
Yeah.
So someone did this for Prince Fatty, and they only made about 7 or 8 of them and stopped making them. So it's very similar to, if you know the Sound Gas, they do one for about £2,000. Yeah. This is about 800 quid. So I was like, yes. And it sounds like the Tubby, the original King Tubby sound. And
your approach to composing these tracks would be just literally what you just there, right? Just have...
Yeah. So the acid dub stuff, a lot of that is like freestyled layers. Like a lot of it's done one take, and then I just add bits and bobs, chop a little bit, but yeah, it's pretty simple. Try and keep it like rhythm track. Yeah, that's it.
But it works really well, and you've done.
It's quite effective. Yeah, I think it's been good. I mean, I've been doing live shows over the last year and a half. Playing at Berghain was pretty mad. Doing that at CTM was really cool. To be invited to do that was amazing. But yeah, like festivals and it's been a mad learning curve. I mean, I never wanted to do a live show. I always found it really scary. And a friend of mine who has a really great folk band, he's a long-time friend of mine. He used to be a part of Various Production, if you remember those guys. But he was like, "You've got to do a live show." I was like, all right. And managed to figure out how to do it live. Which is great because I'm just tweaking the 303 and I've got loads of effects and it's great fun.
So it's quite improvisational, the live show. It's quite free. Yeah.
It's kind of dubbing stems though.
Yep.
Yeah. There's some jammy moments. I want to do more, get it a little more spontaneous as time goes on. But yeah, we'll finish the 3rd album and then do more push on the live shows.
Cool.
We'll see how we go.
Cool. Let's see if these guys have got any more questions you'd like to ask.
They've heard enough.
Yeah. Question in the front here.
When you're making, like, especially a dancier tune, like, how much do you focus on, or do you even think at all about, like, pushing a new sound or, like, doing something that hasn't been done before?
Oh, that's hard. It's really, I mean, doing something that hasn't been done before, I think is really, really, really hard now. I think a lot of the space has been filled, from what I can see. Don't take that as gospel. But there are people. I think what it is. I almost like. If I was to do that, it would be a mistake or something accidental. I don't sort of sit there thinking it's got to be like the next shit. Because I think if you think like that, it can, maybe it will work, but I would feel like I'm being too cocky almost, I think, to be honest with you. Maybe I'm too humble, I don't know. But it doesn't really enter my mind, if I'm honest. But someone here might do it. You might do it, you know?
He's done it.
I think I reference the past too much, actually. I reference a lot of things historically, maybe. But yeah, don't know.
Question here.
If you were just starting out and you couldn't afford all the equipment and stuff, what's some of the more basic stuff that you would?
So kit for someone starting out. Yeah.
Because obviously when you've got all this equipment, it's going to be a lot easier.
For sure. Oh no, absolutely. So there's a great video. There's a guy called Ben Jordan who's got a great YouTube channel, and he just did a great video about like a bunch of software that's out now that's free that you can get started with. But I mean, it's kind of that, that's a hard question to answer. I mean, I would definitely look at demos of anything you can find, or stuff that is just free. I mean, plugins wise, in terms of effects, you see all this kit. A lot of those, there's a lot of people making free plugins. And I would say maybe try and buy a DAW if you can spend money. I would really say Ableton Live, but obviously it's £600. I mean,
There's different. There's intro you can get, which is which is
there
fine
is the
for
basic,
like 30 quid or something.
Yeah.
It's not too much.
Start somewhere, but yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think it is quite difficult to do it without having a small budget at least. But there's like free DAWs. I mean, like Cakewalk's free, isn't it?
There's RDAW, there's Traction, there's DAWs that are free.
To be fair, Tony probably knows more than I do about that one, if I'm honest.
I'll give you a hit list.
Maybe chat to Tony, honestly, if you're keen. Yeah. Do you make music? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right, okay. Right.
But the iPhone's also a great tool. There's some great plugins on that. Now you've got, that's a whole nother workshop. But
Tony knows. Tony knows.
Cool. Question there.
There are some tunes that I'm producing at the moment, and one of the habits that I tend to fall into, which I've been told by several producers is actually quite a bad habit, is that I'll do what's been called rendering through the tune. So I'll have an idea and apply the reverb because I want it to sound a certain way. But I've had people in the past say to me, just get the basics of the idea down first before you tinker away. Yeah. What would be your stance on that, rather than, because I've had people say, just get the intro, get the first body, get the first drop, get the bridge, and then the second drop, and then if you want to tinker away, start tinker away then, just get the idea.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, because I know that you come from you like to focus on textures as you go, and I'd like to know your kind of view on that.
I think it's whatever the tune wants. If it's a tune that is based on a DJ structure where you've got intro, drop, etc., you definitely want to get to a certain point where it's almost like I feel like what's that silly sport people do where people like they strap and they have like a elastic and they try and run as fast as they can or as far as they can, and it's sort of before it pulls them back. Some kind of weird game show. Cool. It's actually a legit thing. That type of thing. So it's almost like, I feel like sometimes you want to just run as far as you can until you run out of juice, and then just stick like a peg in the ground. Bam! Right, that's what the tune shape is. And then it's like, and then pick it up again another time, and then build it from there. That's a good way to work, I think. Yeah, like that tune here, I probably made most of that in one sitting. But like...
Did you apply the textures as you went through the tune, or did you get the main body out going like how the Steve
Yeah, main body and then decorate.
Okay.
Yeah, for that one. But sometimes it doesn't go like that. Yeah, I don't have a prescriptive process.
I've just been told it can suck up a lot of creativity sometimes if you get carried away with
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You definitely will get your main idea, get the main stuff out, I think. My opinion. But yeah, get the main stuff out and then do your tinkering. Yeah, I would suggest that, yeah.
What would you consider the main stuff? Just to elaborate on that.
I'd say like drums, bass is a good start. Main rhythmic structures, maybe a switch, or like the kind of breakdown, or some. If you've got an intro, main bit, and another bit, that's probably a good. Like, okay, this is the meat of the situation. Yeah.
Go for it. The back there on the left.
When you describe starting out acid love studies in trying to sketch, what would that process look like, and how long do you think a sketch would take?
Right. Yeah. True. A lot of the sketches were. I just hit record, and there's kit going. So what I would do is start with Ableton push, quick drum sequence, get the drums into the desk, put a little extra reverb effect or something in there, and then get the 303 up. And once I've got something that feels like a nice groove, then get an audio channel and just hit record. Record that for like 3 minutes. Save that. Sometimes save it off. Open something new. Go again with something different. And then sometimes I'll think it's a sketch, and actually it ends up being something that comes out. So I think I'm sketching, but I'm not. I'm actually already writing. But they tend to be 2-3 minute long jams, and it's generally with the 303 you can do a lot of that because there's so much. The 303 is such a great synth because it has such a scope. It's very expressive, so you can do a hell of a lot in 3 minutes. So a couple minutes. Yeah.
But again, I think it's about technique, and there's a sense of freedom that you've got, particularly when you start writing in that way, because you've got, drums, the 303, some effects, time to just enjoy, just getting that filter going, getting the old envelope going, and then edit later, right? If you want,
I kind of almost don't edit. If I'm honest, a lot of the stuff that came out, the main 303 was a one take, because it's just quite simple. I mean, they're quite minimal, right? So it helps you it's a good rhythm track. Like Adrian Sherwood always talks about it, like you can dub something, but the rhythm track has to be good. If it's not, the dub isn't going to make it better. So I focus quite a lot on just getting the rhythm track good, and then just add stuff after. Yeah.
Thank you for your question. One more at the front here. Well, two more, yeah. Cool.
What was it like working on the Richie Brains project?
Richie Brains. Yes, so that was a collaborative thing we did for Exit Records. That was myself, Stray, Alex Perez, Fracture, Chimpo, Fixate, and I feel like there's someone else. Who have I missed out? Bingo. Sorry, you can probably hear us. His studio is literally there. And Sam Bingo, of course. I wasn't actually that involved. If I'm honest, I did very little on that album. I probably contributed... We did a few things. I think a couple of things that I did were too floaty for the album. They were too atmospheric. So for me, it was just fun though. Like we were just in the studio having a laugh, and it was great fun. We split into two fact-finding groups. One lot went to Perez's studio, and we were all in D Bridge's studio in Hornsey, and we just kind of swapped around a bit, did a couple video calls, and a lot of it. The funny thing was, a lot of it was done in about 2 or 3 days, but it took about 18 months to 2 years to actually come out.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast. You would say it was about 4 years from his idea to.
Maybe it was. Yeah, he was on it as D Bridge is like a Mr. Collaborator. He's always trying to get people to collaborate. He got me and Martin to do stuff. It took a while.
Were you aware of the 5 other people doing a similar thing? Because in the podcast he was saying, obviously all of you were releasing on Exit at a similar sort of time, and he was drawing links between all of you. And that's when he said, you lot make similar music, get together and go do something.
Oh yeah, we were all mates, swapping tunes, for sure. I say mates, we were definitely in touch a lot anyway, at least remotely, swapping dubs and all that stuff, yeah.
Time for one more question at the back, thank you.
Yeah, just wondering what influences outside of music that influence the stuff you produce. So see like science fiction film references and use of Alan Watts.
Sure, yeah. Sci-fi, philosophy, I don't know, just people that think... I think people that just employ ideas, I guess, from podcasts. I mean, I don't know really. It's hard to... Just stuff I'm into. Probably sci-fi. Definitely. I mean, spiritual stuff too. Alan Watts is great. Ramdas. I mean, there's loads on that tip over the years. But Terence McKenna. Microdosing. I'm a big fan of microdosing psilocybin. I think that's useful for creativity and for personal growth. Therapy. I did a process called somatic psychotherapy for about 8 years, on and off. That's been really helpful. Relationships. I don't know, just, life, I guess. I mean, that's really cheesy, but just life, innit? I mean, you're just living. I think anything you can do to free yourself up, I think, is good. Whether it's, I don't know, a cerebral thing or it's something more deeper or physical. I think, some people are really into the physical side, I know people that probably can't make music unless they've been to the gym. It could be anything, I think. Hobbies. I think actually having stuff out, like hobbies. Yeah. Got really into mycology. Just, and I mean actually like not just mushrooms, like necking shrooms, but like, yeah. Things that are not music can actually be really good. Yeah, I think it's good to have balance. Yeah.
So what's next for you?
What's next? I made a record with a guy called James Bangura, he's from DC, and it's like some clubby stuff. Should be coming on Local Action. I've got an 8-track kind of EP mini album that's on its way, and also a cassette of something called Acid Dub Redux, which is a live one-off thing I did at the moment. It's one-off at the moment, we might do more, but it's an AV show I did with a visual artist called Marta Pang, who's from Berlin, and she does like pretty mad visuals that are sort of digital. So I did an ambient version of the Acid Dub Studies stuff to visual stuff in Barcelona, and we recorded the audio, and so there's a cassette of that coming. What else is going on? Some other bits and bobs. Yeah, I've still got to finish the 3rd Acid Dub album. I'm a bit late with that, I think, but I've had a lot going on, so yeah.
Well, Jim, thank you very much for your time, man. Just onwards, keeping the...
You're welcome.
Yeah,
nice to see you, mate.
Yeah, likewise. Give it up for... Awesome. Please stick around and continue chatting to the people around you. The open CDR section, we've still got a few more tracks to play. Check us out on socials, say hello on the interwebs, and see you at the next one. Thank you very much.